Good evening. It's good to be a skeptic, to question everything. But there comes a time when being a skeptic means that that person has not studied the facts, because they should not doubt overwhelming evidence, such is the case with global warming. Since 97% of the working climate scientists state that global warming is due primarily to man-made CO2, I would feel inclined to think there is a reason. Global warming is not just a natural change. Things don't just naturally change, something has to drive that change. Now let's examine what might have driven the change in temperature increase. It can't be the sun, because the sun has been cooling for the past 30 years. A cooler sun should mean a cooler earth. So that's not the driver. It can't be solar cycles, because solar cycles, they go up and down in approximately 11-year solar cycles. And yet the temperature has steadily gone up. Oh, let's see what it couldn't be. It couldn't be the ocean, because the ocean has been warming too. If it was the ocean, then the ocean would be cooling because it would be giving off its heat to warm the air. That's not happening. The ocean is getting warmer also. So something else has to be driving it. Let me see if I can see any others here. I'm looking at my notes. Oh, I will tell you where I get a lot of my information. I go to skepticalscience.com. Ironically, skepticalscience.com. You can type in just about any question you have, or even some keywords such as medieval period or something like that, something that you've heard, some catchphrase you've heard, and you can find the answer. They're really thorough. They're wonderful. So skepticalscience.com. Also, Greenman3610 on YouTube is just wonderful with all of his climate science videos, and Potholer54. So check them all out, and hopefully I'll put links underneath. I always plan on it. Sometimes I forget. Now, I find some of these statistics convincing. Humans emit 30 billion tons, and that's T-O-N-N-E-S. It's kind of like a ton squared, I think. I'm bluffing here. It's something like that. I kind of have an idea what it is. But anyway, 30 billion tons of CO2 into the air every year. And 60% of what man puts into the air in the way of CO2 stays there, as plants and oceans can't absorb anymore. So it's accumulating up there in the air. We have proof of man-made CO2. Oxygen levels in the air are falling due to CO2 rising. So we can measure it that way with the oxygen levels, how they're falling. Also, burned plants, that's fossil fuel, burned plants give off more carbon-12. There's something about a carbon-13 to carbon-12 ratio that's declining, and it's kind of technical, but just basically, the plants are giving off, as they are burned, they give off more carbon-12, and you can see it, you can measure it increasing in the air. So it's coming from man-made fossil fuels. And corals are also showing more of that C12, by the way. Scientists have another way of measuring. They drill 5 miles down. They're up there freezing their butts off in Greenland, measuring this stuff, and then people are denying it, and they're really suffering. And they're drilling 5 miles down, and they bring up these cores, these ice cores, and in the bubbles of the ice cores, the air is trapped from each year, which is really cool. Like in 1783, I believe it was, there was this volcano eruption, and the blue ash from that volcanic eruption is in the ice bubbles in that particular ice core from 1783. So they go down layer by layer, and they can also measure, like coming up from the bottom, the increase in CO2 and the increase in carbon-12. So they can measure it that way. Now this man-made CO2 idea causing global warming is not new. In 1827, Jean-Baptiste Fourier talked about the greenhouse effect, and in 1896, Svante Arrhenius, I have no idea how to pronounce it, related how CO2 from burning coal would lead to global warming. I mean, he was spot on right there. And in 1958, an entire Bell telephone hour was devoted to man-made global warming. And I remember that show, the Bell telephone hour, not that particular one because I was 2. It's time for us to change. It's time to change from being a skeptic to an activist. Because you can see that curbing global warming has nothing to do with politics and everything to do with survival. And I will end, I know that was really a wonderful dramatic ending. I should have cut it right there. But I did get most of this from skepticalscience.com. I'll give them credit for that for sure. And like the ice cores and that kind of thing was from Green Man 3610. So there you go.